Describe a situation in which you had to make an ethical decision. What was the outcome?
To be honest, I really can't think of anything like this semester that was necessarily like a really big like ethical decision that I would have to make. So I would say like I really just can't think of one like right off the dome.
Okay. Next question. What does critical thinking mean to you? How have you had to use that this semester?
I think critical thinking really means like you thrive really well under pressure. And I feel like a big time that I would use critical thinking is during the Big Sean event, and just with any like situation or problem or issue that came up, you really had to use quick thinking so everything that would still run smoothly, even though like it really wasn't.
Good. Next question. How will you incorporate what you have learned thus far in the program to your next leadership opportunities?
Probably the biggest thing I've learned in the program is just the diversity of leadership. Just everybody thinks differently, and everybody has a different leadership type, and just being able to just deal with that, and also just be able to work well with them as well, and like kind of and like you're not gonna be able to understand everybody, but just trying to. And I feel like that's the biggest thing I've learned, and that I can use in my future endeavors.
Okay. Next question. Discuss a situation that you encountered this year when you had to make a choice between benefiting yourself or your organization or group. What was your decision-making process, and do you feel or do you believe that your decision assisted with the team development aspect of your group?
Probably the biggest situation was I'll take it back to the Big Sean event. Like just with anything that he asked for, his manager asked for, instead of benefiting me as far as like I just get everything and then telling everybody like yeah, this is what I did, and then also like worrying about so much as getting reimbursed. I just paid a lot of things just out of pocket, so everything would just run smooth. And I feel like that was like I guess I would say it was a good example as far as the group that was around me just for next year. Like, hey, things are gonna pop up on the fly, and you can't just come out just trying to be the star when you gotta make the whole team look good. So I feel like that was probably like the biggest situation.
Okay. Next, we're going to move on to University of Memphis organizational leadership experience. How does your organization create a group to last beyond these group members? And how do you learn what other people's strengths are?
I feel like as far as that goes, just being able to influence everybody that's on the board and all the people that are in the organization that'll have a lasting effect on them as far as like just growing people and growing connections and networking. I feel like it is a good organization that does that. And as far as like finding other people's strengths, you just have to observe any situation that you're in, and whether it's a dire situation, and you see how people thrive under pressure. That's when you're gonna observe like what their strengths are, and it's not like you're just gonna go up to them and be like, "Hey, like, what are your strengths?" I mean, of course, those questions come up, but you're not gonna really truly understand them until you're actually in the situation with them.
Very good. Okay, we're going to move on to knowledge of community. How, through your experiences, have you come to understand the university as a community, and how do you fit into that community?
I feel like as far as like Memphis, University of Memphis being a community, it's definitely a unique one as far as like it's kind of a college town, and it's kind of like metropolitan, and it's also commuter school. So it has a definitely like a huge array of people as far as the community goes. And I feel like I fit in very well just because I am different, and I feel like University of Memphis is definitely a great like platform, a great base for anybody that's a true individual.
Good, good. Next, we're going to move on to community service. List your community service experiences, including where, time, and date, and what you did. Note, each experience should be listed separately. Additionally, please answer whether any of these experiences contributed to the list below, and if so. So the first one is understanding of diverse culture, political, and intellectual views.
All right. Basically, like my mom, the big like service projects that I did was with the Saturday service on Saturday, and what we did was we went to Shelby Farms, and we got a huge group of people, and we went out there and just planted trees. And I thought that was a really cool experience because it's not something that I really get to do often, especially back home. I'm in like a city type feel where you don't really have a chance to go and do that, and I feel like it benefited me just seeing like a whole new like spectrum of community service. Just you're out there actually doing like real hard work, and you're out there sweating, and you know it's going to be a good cause. I mean, it may not just be just for the community itself, but just for the environment. And I guess as far as community service goes, I don't really think about that, but being a part of that was just a great, it was a great experience. As far as diversity goes in that situation, I mean, there's a lot of diverse people. It wasn't just, the people that I know from University of Memphis. There's a lot of other people that just go out there and just do it just because they want to. And I feel like that's, a different perspective. Like, I never really think of just going out and just, I'm going to plant trees today just because it's a good thing. And I feel like that really opened up my eyes as far as like how the world is seen through other people. They just, hey, I know this is, a good thing. And, from the long run, this is really going to help. And I guess the short term of that would be just the feeling that you get after, like, man, I really just did something. It's a really good feeling when you're actually accomplished something. Like, man, I planted like a good 15 to 20 trees today. And in the long term, which I would definitely say, because you are, making a base for what you hope to have is a forest at the end, how long it ever takes. It could be 50 years from now, but, 15 years from now, you're on that highway, like, man, I planted one of those trees. I feel like it's a great feeling altogether.
Okay, well, you definitely hit all of the ones on the list. We're going to move on to workshop experience and organizational effectiveness and communication. Describe your experience at the workshops this semester. How do you feel about them? What was the most valuable lesson you took from them? And how do you believe it will aid you in the future? And what, if anything, from the workshop will you be able to apply to your student involvement experience?
I feel like this year, as far as the workshops, I know you didn't get a chance to run ours or lead ours, and we had Laura. And I guess on a personal standpoint, I got to understand like how Laura really leads things and how she go about and does things, and I feel like that helped me just because I know that next year I'll be working with her as my advisor because I'm on the board for SAC. And I mean, the workshop itself, I believe it didn't necessarily benefit me, but just having that experience with Laura, her leading everything instead of having you really putting things into perspective of how things are gonna run as far as SAC goes next year.
Okay, good. Speak your experience. Do you simply describe the session, discuss the learning that took place? So, which speakers did you attend, and please list each separately? And what influence did these presentations have on your views on leadership? None is an unacceptable answer unless explained why in depth. And how will you apply the knowledge shared in the speakers' presentations to your leadership growth?
I attended numerous speakers this semester, like definitely more than is what was required, just because I had way more time. But the one that just stuck out to me was when I got to see Chris Gardner, and I thought that was just a great experience. I mean, you see the movie Pursuit of Happiness, and you think of Will Smith, like, man, this dude really went through it all. And then actually just meeting the guy that the story's about, he just had a great message on everything. And probably the biggest thing that he stuck out to me that he said is like he spells happiness with a Y, and the Y stands for you, because you are the person that has the ability to make yourself happy. And I feel like that's, you can apply that to anything in life, like any organization. Like, you have the ability to be happy. You do. And you can create that. It's going to be hard work, but I mean, it's on you. And I feel like that was probably like the biggest thing that stood out to me, even just like through this whole semester.
Good. And then lastly, we have overall experience. So what was the most valuable learning experience this year? How have you been able to apply that? And what are you most looking forward to next year?
Probably the biggest thing that I learned is discipline. I don't know if I could say that. It was more like a negative thing as far as me learning what discipline is. Like, I need to be more disciplined in everything that I do. If I'm saying I'm going to do something, even though I have the ability to procrastinate and then get a good grade on it, but I could do even better and have the discipline and actually get it done at that time and at that moment. And I feel like definitely being proactive and just knowing that it's not necessarily me having like organizational skills or talking skills. It's me just being disciplined and me actually get it done, because I can be organized. I can do all these things, but it's actually doing it. And I feel like that is what is going to lead into next year. As far as like everything that I do is something that I need to do and it needs to get done, and I